never stayed at my house, period.
Was he at your house?
He came there,
Did you
yes.
sleep with him?
No, I did not. His cousin liked me, but we never slept together. He bought me a bed when I first
I'm not
moved to
talking
my
about that.
apartment.
I'm not talking about that cousin.
Yes.
Wait, there are more cousins?
I don't know what cousin he's talking.
Mark Flowers is convinced that his ex-girlfriend Mia Diaz's baby, Callie, is not his. Mark claims he was duped into signing the birth certificate, and now he wants a DNA test to prove he's not the father. Mia, on the other hand, is confident that Mark is Callie's dad.
Mr. Flowers, you have brought your ex-girlfriend to court today to prove that you are not biological father of her 2-month-old daughter, Callie.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you were duped into naming the baby and signing her birth certificate, and now the DNA test will prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Diaz, you claim that it was Mr. Flowers' jealousy and insecurity that drove you to have sex with another man, but you are confident.
But here's where things get really wild. Mia admits that she was intimate with another man, Mr. Bowman, around the same time she was with Mark. So now we've got two potential fathers in the mix, and the judge is about to bring in Mr. Bowman to get his side of the story.
The doctor confirmed the time of conception was around the time that I had sex with Mr. Flowers. We were the only two people together at that time, which was the first week of August, and there could be no other possibility but Mr. Flowers.
So tell me about the nature of this relationship.
Me and Mr. Flowers have an off and on relationship, a very rocky relationship. Met up again after high school about 3 years ago. Although we love each other, we don't get along. We're like oil and water.
When Mr. Bowman takes the stand, he drops a bombshell. He doesn't believe he's the father either. Apparently, he and Mia had multiple encounters, but he didn't, finish the job, if you catch my drift. Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
What would you think and how would you feel if you was in love with two guys? You'd be confused too.
And so you feel like that's what she is in love with two people?
Yes.
And that's how you end up here in this courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Believing you're not Callie's father because you believe this other gentleman, Mr. Bowman, is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about this doubt. I want to know specifically why you doubt that you're Callie's biological father.
Because, let's be honest, she sleep around.
Now, Mark is clearly torn. On one hand, he's been bonding with Callie and really wants her to be his daughter. But on the other hand, he's got serious doubts about Mia's fidelity, and he's not sure he can trust her. You can see the anguish on his face as he tries to figure out what to do.
So you think she's saying you're the father because you're the steady Eddie?
True story.
So, Ms. Diaz, he says you were sleeping around. Were you? Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is. And why are you convinced then that Mr. Flowers is your child's biological father if you admittedly were having sex with more than one person?
Well, I was in a rough time in my life at that time. I felt like Mr. Flowers wasn't giving me the support I needed emotionally.
Mia insists that Mark is the father, and she's brought a calendar to prove it. She lays out the timeline of when she was intimate with each man, and it does seem to line up with the doctor's estimated conception date. But then the judge drops another bombshell. Mia failed to mention two other men she was with during that time period. This is getting messier by the second.
In orange are the dates you were intimate with Mr. Bowman.
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be the 8th, 9th, and 10th of August, which is the very next week.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, that's pretty close. Did you tell the doctor that you had also had sex with another person the very next week?
I found out that I was pregnant and I called him on his birthday.
You called to tell somebody on their birthday that you're pregnant, but it might not be yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge is clearly exasperated with Mia's, shall we say, active love life, and she doesn't hold back in her criticism. You're just giving yourself away for free, she tells Mia, and you can tell she's not impressed.
You know what I'm saying? I wonder what she want. You know what I'm saying? Probably want to kick it, probably remember it's my birthday or something. And she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what?
And so when she said this to you, did she say, and you're the father, or you are one of the potential fathers?
She said one of the potential fathers. She came straight with me. Like, she was honest with me with that.
Ms. Diaz, did you also tell Mr. Bowman that he was a potential father?
Yes, Your Honor.
But despite all the drama, Mark still insists that Callie is his daughter, and he's willing to fight for her. That's my daughter, he says, his voice cracking with emotion. I've been with her, changed diapers in the middle of the night. You can't help but feel for the guy, even if he's been through the ringer.
Thank you for being here
ma'am.
today. We are here, of course, talking about the paternity as it relates to brand new baby, Callie. Ms. Diaz has admitted in court today that she was intimate with you and with Mr. Flowers about a week apart. Are you aware that you are one of the potential fathers?
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware.
Do you believe Callie is your child?
No, ma'am, I do not.
And then, the moment of truth, the DNA results are in. The judge has the envelope in her hands, and Callie's paternity question is about to get answered in the most dramatic way possible.
Mr. Flowers or Mr. Bowman is the biological father. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Flowers, you are not the father. Mr. Bowman, you are not the father. Ms. Diaz, is there something else missing from the calendar?
Now, Mr. Maxim here is convinced that Miss Gearing is trying to pin her 3-year-old daughter, Alana, on him. He says he had no idea about the baby until after she was born, and he immediately asked for a paternity test. But Miss Gearing, she's telling a different story.
That you had to open your case today because the defendant is doing what she does best, pinning babies on innocent men.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say she is now seeking financial help from your mother, and in order to stop her from taking advantage of your family, you need to prove that you did not father her 3-year-old daughter, Alana Gearing. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Apparently, she reached out to Maxim's mom saying she was pregnant with his child, but Maxim was nowhere to be found. He was in Las Vegas with another woman at the time. When Maxim's mom came to see the baby, she was sure that it was her grandbaby.
I sent him some money, $250 to be exact, and thought he was coming back, and he never came back, and he never called me.
Did you bring proof
So
of that?
afterwards,
Did you bring proof of that?
afterwards, I did contact his mom after I had the baby, and when I heard from her, she was like, "Yeah, that's my grandbaby." And his mom even came here because she was driving trucks, and I brought my baby to see her.
One at a time.
I brought my baby to see her when she came here because she was driving trucks.
But wait, it gets even crazier. Maxim claims he never knew about the baby until after she was born, and when he asked for a paternity test, Miss Gearing refused. He says he's worried she's just trying to get money out of his family. Yikes, this is starting to sound like a real mess.
Percent that that's his child.
If you
All
knew
right.
200% that was my child when I asked you for a paternity test, at first when I found out and you refused, you would have gave it to me.
Because
If that's
my
the
baby was
truth
too
now.
small.
So hold on,
So,
truth.
yes, I did deny it the
Mr.
first time.
Maxson, I need to hear that. Can you please tell the court what happened when you asked for a paternity test?
When I asked her for a paternity test, she told me, no, this is your child.
She said no, because I was on the phone
Wait,
with
was she pregnant? Was the baby born?
Baby
When
was
was the
already
She was
here.
born, she was like 4 weeks.
Now, Miss Gearing's side of the story is that she was going through a lot. The baby was born a month early, and Maxim wasn't there for her during the pregnancy like he said he would be. So when Maxim asked for the test, she just couldn't handle one more thing. But come on, lady, that baby deserves to know who her daddy is.
Yes, we been knew each other when we was younger, stayed on the same street. Back then,
We lived down the street from each other, and I've never known nothing about this lady.
And
But
even,
wait.
Even back then, me and her had no dealing. She knew of me and I knew of her. We never was talked or
But
kicked
at
it.
some point, you obviously were intimate, or we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, when she
Yes.
contacted me on Facebook.
Okay, so you.
yes, I did contact him first on Facebook, and he came out to my grandmother's house.
And get this, Maxim claims he always used protection with Miss Gearing, but she says that's a complete lie. They were just kicking it unprotected, apparently. But the real kicker is when Maxim says he's seen pictures of the baby, but he's never actually met her in person. Miss Gearing says that's a big fat lie. She claims Maxim's mom even came to her house and picked the baby up.
In January of 2016, I asked him, "Can you at least see how your child is doing?" He texted me 2 months later, asked for a favor to borrow some money, and I told him no. So then he went to say, "Don't contact me anymore." So who need who? I never asked him for money. Only thing I wanted him to do, you can buy your daughter some clothes and some shoes
Well,
and
you
give
asked
it to
me
her.
for money
You don't
to buy
have
your baby Pampers.
Okay, you only sent me
You asked me
$20.
for-
It wasn't your responsibility.
And that was all I
You
was
should have
supposed
told
to
your
send you.
grown ass
All right,
man.
ladies.
All right, folks, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. The judge is about to reveal the paternity test results, and the tension in that courtroom is thicker than molasses. Will Maxime be revealed as the daddy, or is Miss Gearing trying to pull a fast one? Let's find out.
Mr. Maxson, you are the father.
I knew it.
That's your little girl, Mr. Maxson.
I'm just glad to know the truth. Hate it had to take this long for, find out. But
These are the moments where it all comes together.
Well, folks. We've got a real head scratcher on our hands today. Buckle up, because this case is about to take us on one wild ride. Looks like we've got a classic he said, she said situation brewing between Mr. Carroll and Ms. Goggins. Let's dive right in and see what kind of drama these two have cooked up, shall we?
Mr. Carroll, you are here to prove to your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Goggins, that you are the biological father of her 26-year-old daughter, Shirletha Carroll.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say when your daughter was 5, 5 years old, the defendant told you another man was her father, but you refused to believe it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Goggins, you claim that you had a one-night stand and he is your daughter's real father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Carroll is convinced that he's the father of Ms. Goggins' 26-year-old daughter, Shirlita. But Ms. Goggins is over here claiming that the real dad is actually some random hairdresser she had a one-night stand with. Whoa! Talk about a plot twist. I mean, can you imagine finding out your dad is actually your mom's hairstylist?
So, Ms. Goggins, you say you had a one-night stand and you're so sure that this one-night stand is your daughter's father. Why are you so certain?
With Jesse, we were basically broken up, and then I end up going to her father saying that I needed someone to talk to. So me and him end up having sex, and I knew that it was
The one-night
hairdresser,
stand.
the hairdresser.
Now, Ms. Goggins insists that she told Mr. Carroll from the very beginning that the hairdresser was the real dad. But Mr. Carroll's over here swearing up and down that Ms. Goggins never said a word about it. Ms. Goggins seems pretty confident that the hairdresser is the father. Maybe she's got some secret evidence up her sleeve, or maybe she's just really good at keeping a straight face. Either way, this is getting juicier by the minute.
Never told me that.
Yes,
Never.
I did.
Never did she tell me that because.
So I want to know your recollection.
She never told me.
Give me the first time you remember hearing that Shirlita may not be your child.
First of all, me and Tina at that time was still in a relationship. It was just shaky. Lily was 5 years old, and she came over my mother's house, and she told me that she had something to tell me.
And then there's Charlita, the poor girl caught in the middle of all this drama. Turns out she's always believed that the hairdresser was her real dad. She's got all these family photos and memories of hanging out with the hairdresser's family, you know? But then she finds out that Mr. Carroll's name is on her birth certificate.
It was just arguments, arguing.
And then what do you remember me saying to you at the end, when it's all said and done, what did I say?
I mean, he always has stated to me that he's my dad.
That's
so,
right.
you know,
I
he
don't
always
deny
said
that. He always did say that. I'm not denying that. And it wasn't 5 years later that you found out that Shalitha was yours. When you came in the delivery room with me, you seen her and you said, wow, whose baby is this? She's so white.
Mr. Carroll's wife, Quintina, has got some pretty strong opinions on all this. Apparently, she's been telling Mr. Carroll for years that Charlita isn't his daughter, and that Ms. Goggins has been saying the same thing. Quintina even says she found a letter where Ms. Goggins thanked Mr. Carroll for accepting our daughters. Plural.
Hospital, you don't have any doubt.
None. And everything.
So during the time when Shirlita was conceived, you don't remember there being an instant where did you know she had the one-night stand?
Oh yeah. Now she did tell me that she had an affair with the hairdresser down in our relationship. But 5
Oh,
years.
I told you I was pregnant by the hairdresser.
No, never did you tell me that.
Yes, I did.
She never
I
told
told you way ahead of
Listen.
time. I'm pregnant by the hairdresser. This is not your baby I'm carrying.
Okay.
Charlita just wants to know the truth, you know? She's tired of feeling like the black sheep of the family, and she's hoping this DNA test will finally give her the answers she's been searching for.
Without my consent.
I gave Lily that name, Lily. That nickname, I done that. Lily was my daughter. My daughter. That's my nickname. That Shalitha is my family. That's her name from my family.
But it didn't come from you.
It's my people in my family,
No,
though.
it's not. It don't
My
matter
family.
whose
My
family it
sister-in-law.
came from. Shalitha
No, and anyway,
came
like I
from
said, that's
the
my
girl
daughter.
named
Wait, let me
Shirlita.
understand
They
this.
asked
So
me to name her
after
her
she was
name.
born, in the early parts of her life,
All right, folks, the moment of truth is finally here. The DNA results are in, and it's time to see who's the real daddy. Will it be Carroll, the guy who's been convinced Charlita is his daughter all these years? Or will it be the mysterious hairdresser, the guy Goggins has been insisting is the father?
you are her father.
My baby. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Lily. I'm so This is wonderful. This is what we've been waiting on. Wow, finally got it over. My daughter, baby.
This is crazy. I'm hurt.
We always love a good mystery on Paternity Court. And boy, oh boy, do have some good ones today. Miss Johnson says Mr. Milford has never been there for Kiara, not even when he was born. But Mr. Milford claims that when he asked Miss Johnson if she was pregnant, she told him it was just a tumor. What a wild story.
You claim the defendant, who has a child with your first cousin, is your son, Kiara. Damaris's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you perform police actions with air defense artillery while in the Army, which exposed you to radiation, making it impossible for you to have more children. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now the judge is bringing in a surprise witness, Miss Chevela Jones, who turns out to be Miss Johnson's cousin, and she drops a bombshell, saying that Miss Johnson was kind of a round-the-way girl back in the day and was sleeping with multiple people, including Mr. Milford. So it's not even clear if Mr. Milford is actually the dad.
Child with your cousin as well?
Yes, I did.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
I actually knew I was pregnant. I didn't tell anybody.
When?
She told
I
me
was
it
like
a
5
tumor.
months, 5 or 6 months.
So when you found out you were pregnant, he says you told him it was a tumor.
No, that never happened. I hadn't even been to the
no.
doctor, so how can I say it's a tumor when I didn't
She
go to the
never
doctor?
gave me. She never told me when the birthdays were coming. When she never gave me a sonogram. What she's saying just don't add.
Then we meet Mr. Milford's daughter, Miss LaBarbara Jones, who says she's always thought of Mr. Johnson as her cousin, not her brother. She even says it's awkward when Mr. Johnson introduces her as his sister. Wow, this family's all kinds of tangled up.
Him to get him to do anything. So yeah, I didn't want him to be the father, but I know he is. So he wasn't around.
Yeah.
Mr. Milford?
Yes. Look, my mother told me to get this straight before she died. So I went down to the DNA place. She didn't show up. This the
It
third
never
time.
happened.
The
When did
third
that happen?
time.
When did that happen?
The third time she showed up with the kids and got to arguing with the DNA people. And
That never
And
happened.
they ran out.
The judge is really trying to get to the bottom of this, but Mr. Milford and Miss Johnson keep contradicting each other. He says he never had those conversations with her, but she insists he did. And the judge is just shaking her head, saying none of this makes any sense. She's right. This is a total mess.
To see if maybe we could get somewhere. I still don't understand how one person can go down for a DNA test 3 times. I don't understand why you don't just call and say, hey, they're calling me back in again. You want to all go together so we can get this resolved.
'Cause it
It's
never
just
happened.
a conversation.
It never happened. We never really talked. All we did was have sex most of the time. That's why.
Mr. Milford, I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am.
The judge finally calls for the DNA test results, and the tension in the room is palpable. Kiara looks so nervous, poor guy. He's been living with this uncertainty his whole life, and he's finally about to get some answers.
Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
Thank you.
That's wow.
I'm sorry, Kira. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh.
I'm so sorry, Kira. Mom, I have to ask you, do you have any idea? You do. Do you know how to find him?
He's the one that stepped up to be his father when Dwayne didn't.
This one's a real doozy. A complicated love triangle that has the potential to turn into a full-blown paternity circus. Miss Whitman is nervously seeking the results that will determine the father of her 1-month-old daughter, Michaela. Turns out, Miss Whitman was in a relationship with a guy named Mr. Matson, but she cheated on him with another man, Mr. Anderson.
And the man you claim you love is standing in our courtroom hallway.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you confess you cheated on him with the defendant,
That's right, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Anderson. So today you're here to determine the paternity of your 1-month-old daughter, Michaela, in hopes of saving your relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Anderson claims that he knew Miss Whitman was in a relationship when they hooked up, but he also says she was intimate with other men as well. He's hoping the paternity test will prove he's not the father of little Michaela. Sounds like someone's trying to cover their tracks here.
At a bus station when I was coming from Chicago to Arkansas. And we kind of like kicked it off quick and became girlfriend and boyfriend. And 2 months into relationship, I met Mr. Anderson. And we were pretty much like friends. And because I thought Mr. Mitchell was cheating, I kind of went to him and we were texting.
And then you start giving Mr. Anderson a little bit more attention.
When the judge asks Miss Whitman to explain how all this went down, she paints a pretty chaotic picture. Apparently, she and Mr. Matson met at a bus station and hit it off, becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. But just 2 months into the relationship, she met Mr. Anderson, and they became friends with benefits. And we all know how it goes from there.
So one of your cousins stayed up there with her for a week.
Yes.
Did your cousin tell you that he slept with her?
Yeah, we done gave each other daps and everything.
Miss Whitman, do you know who this cousin is?
Yes, I know who his cousin is, but his cousin did not stay a week.
Well, how long did he stay?
His cousin never stayed at my house, period.
Was he at your house?
He came there.
Did you
yes.
sleep with him?
No, I did not. His cousin liked me, but we never slept together.
Miss Whitman says she thought Mr. Matson was cheating, so she turned to Mr. Anderson for a little comfort. Not exactly the healthiest way to handle relationship troubles if you ask me, but hey, we've all made questionable choices in the name of love, right?
I want to understand, how did you figure out or find out that Miss Whitman was pregnant?
Well, actually, Facebook, my baby mama, she didn't even call me.
I sent you the picture of the pregnancy test.
And you sent it to Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you send it to anybody else?
Yes,
I sent it to Mitch too through Facebook.
Mr. Mapson?
Yes, Mr. Mapson, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Anderson claims he saw evidence that Miss Whitman was sleeping with one of his cousins, but Miss Whitman strongly denies this. She says Mr. Anderson's cousin never even stayed at her place, let alone hooked up with her. Seems like someone's trying to shift the blame here.
So since you had such real doubts, did you pursue a DNA test at all? Did you say, I want to have a paternity test?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
And we argued about that.
What's the argument? She admitted she didn't know.
He wanted me to pay half of DNA test, but Mr. Mapson also wanted me to pay half. I wasn't finna pay half for both people.
What? She done gone half on the baby and won't go half on the DNA test. Now that doesn't make no sense.
Things get even more complicated when we learn that Miss Whitman actually told Mr. Matson about the possibility that the baby might not be his, but he still wanted to be involved. What a guy. Too bad he didn't show up for any of the doctor's appointments or the birth.
She was a beautiful baby. So I showed her around to my family, even called my kids, asked them what they think about her, and they all said, we believe it's yours, because she kind of looked like my youngest son or whatever.
So you had to take this beautiful new baby around to your family and to your children and literally just say, do you all think she looks like me?
Correct.
And are you all in a relationship?
No, we're not.
But Mr. Matson says he had his doubts, and that's why he didn't want to get too involved until he knew for sure the baby was his. Can't really blame him for that, to be honest. I mean, finding out your girlfriend cheated on you and the baby might not be yours, that's gotta be a tough pill to swallow.
But I told her once that marry or whatever, we just do what we gotta do.
And what if she's not yours?
If she's not, that right there, that'll hurt.
Mr. Anderson, have you spent time with the baby?
Well, I came up there one time, you know.
Yeah, he came
up
one time.
there one time.
When I came out the hospital.
Talked to her.
And when you saw the baby, did you feel like?
And then there's Mr. Anderson, who seems to be feeling a whole lot of emotions about this whole situation. He admits that he's been through a lot, and the drama has really taken a toll on his life. You can tell this guy is struggling with the uncertainty of it all.
Worried that the situation is going to destroy your relationship with Mr. Mapson because you don't want to be with Mr. Anderson.
No, there's no way that me and Mr. Anderson could be together.
But you want to be with Mr. Mapson.
Yes, that's who I want to be with. And if I'm afraid if the baby's not his, he will not be.
He will respond the way
maybe
Mr. Anderson's girlfriend did and not want to be a part of a relationship with you.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Miss Whitman is hoping that the paternity test will prove Mr. Matson is the father, because she really wants to make things work with him. She won't have to wait any longer, though, because the DNA test results are in, and we're about to get the truth bomb we've been waiting for, Judge Lake.
As to whether Mr. Mapson or Mr. Anderson is the biological father of 1-month-old Michaela, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Anderson, you are not her father.
Thank you, Jesus. All the time, all that stuff you've done to me.
We have another result.
Boy.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Mapson, you are her father.